Greetings and welcome to the Midsommar celebration, and wonderful tidings for this summer. It's been a pretty hot summer. It's been fruitful, I would say, and many blessings to you, the clicker of this video. Hopefully by the end of this I will have converted you to this strange cult that I seem to have over here on the internet. There's a plane overhead, but you're going to have to ignore that. There are many benefits to joining a cult, specifically ones on the internet. The sense of community. You can get out of your shitty relationship by putting the man in a bear suit and then burning him alive. Or you could jump off a cliff face, smashing your face to pieces. Midsommar's a movie that's out right now. It's a fucking nightmare. You'll love it. So, Midsommar is the new movie from Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary, and it is fucked. I felt that there was this sort of enigmatic connection that I had to Hereditary, where upon watching it I was kind of like, what does this mean? What this about? Not very straightforward filmmaking, which I think makes the movie scarier, but also makes the movie interesting enough for people to want to talk about. Midsommar, on the other hand, is kind of strange because I feel like a lot of the same reaction is happening with Midsommar, where people are dissecting it and analyzing it for its little details and trying to figure out what exactly it's trying to say. I feel like this movie is a lot more straightforward than the previous movie. I felt like I picked up just about everything that I actually wanted from the movie on the first viewing. Like, I didn't have to go back to the theater the next day and try and figure out what the movie was trying to say. I felt like it was all right there, clear to me. And easy mode, let's call it. But perhaps that's because I have experienced a lot of the things in the movie. You know, not the burning and the torture, but you know, the other things. And also it just sort of fits within my aesthetic. I kind of could assume what was going to happen in the movie based solely on the first 20-30 minutes. It's literally kind of Cannibal Holocaust for white people, isn't it? It's a movie where a bunch of dumb white people go to enjoy a foreigner's celebration and then learn very quickly that it's actually a lot darker than they think that it is, and it's a lot more complicated, and it's going to get them killed and maybe eaten. If there was cannibalism in the movie, I think I would have liked it more. 7 out of 10. But no, jokes aside, I believe that this movie also has like themes of grief on its mind, but it's more about relationships and like how one deals with their own problems while also dealing with the problem of having a partner that doesn't help them, doesn't bring them joy, doesn't protect them from the ills of the world. So the basic gist of the movie, if you haven't seen it, which if you haven't seen it, you probably should see it, unless you don't want to, which is fair because it's a fucking nightmare. You'll sit silently in your car for 20 to 30 minutes after it's over, wondering why you did that. But in case you haven't seen it and need a little pitch, it is about some people that go to a Midsommar celebration after It's about a group of people that go to a Midsommar celebration in the Netherlands. Can't remember the exact location, which is basically just a giant cult. They go to visit the cult and learn about their rituals. Some of them are in college and they're writing their dissertation about this particular religion. Other people are just sort of along for the ride. They hear that there's drugs there, and they like drugs quite a lot, so they're going to do drugs with the cult. Unfortunately, doing drugs with the cult seems like sort of a bad fucking idea, but of course this is more complicated because the main character of the movie is a lady who, her entire family has just very recently died because her sister did a suicide murder to her parents and herself. The lady is grieving. And her boyfriend is a bag of shit. Okay, her husband's not a bag of shit, he's just like an asshole. Okay, he's not he's not a great dude. He's not a great dude. He's not very caring. He's not a great dude. he's kind of a bag of shit. He really wants to break up with her because he thinks that she has too many problems and she's too irritating and she's got too much bullshit, too much baggage, and he doesn't really want to deal with that, which to an extent is kind of a fair thing, you know, like that does need help, deserves that kind of help, but if the care isn't there and you don't think that you're going to be a good provider for your partner, like, it is generally a pretty okay thing to do. Mostly, the reason he wants to do this is so that he can bang some chicks, which is not great. So the movie kind of acts as a metaphor of their breakup. She is extremely isolated, so she clings to him even though she knows that he's not really right for her. And he can't break up with her because he feels like he has to be the only person in her life and save her from all of that, which he's doing a pretty inadequate job at anyway. So the movie basically acts as kind of a metaphor for their breakup. She goes on to become like the May Queen at this cult thing and do a lot of drugs and have like a whole experience and learn that she's kind of got a little family here of people that are very caring towards her, even if they're weirdo cultists. And he learns that he probably should have been, you know, better or broken up with her when he wanted to, shortly before he fucking dies. He's also punished by being forced to have sex with someone, which is not great. So Midsommar has this really sort of interesting interpretation of like what cults mean to people. Typically in media we're seeing cults as like a charismatic leader leading a bunch of people away from their communities to a sort of isolated state where then the cult leader can kind of take advantage of them. But in this movie it's actually the opposite, where the woman is in an isolated state, but by going to the cult, she finds like a community that allows her to break away from the people that are isolating her and harming her and are keeping her from living a healthy, happy life. So it's interesting because it turns out that what she needs isn't actually the relationship. What she needs is like a community of people to help her grieve and to make her feel valuable again, and to make her feel like she can do something in the world that isn't just, you know, ask herself constantly why all of this happened to her, why the world has done this to her. Breakups are kind of good, actually, especially if they lead somebody to exist in a less isolated state where they're in a fulfilling community that helps them a lot, especially through something like grieving and like the loss of your parents or the loss of like a family member or all of them in a kind of exploitation-y sense. So it's not necessarily that the movie is saying, you know, we're pro-cult and cults are good, but rather that community is good, and, you know, sometimes in order to find the community that you deserve, you have to kind of kill the people that you were isolated by, that you were with. Like, you have to completely erase them from your mind so you can move on with your life. In this way, I think the movie has like a really pretty progressive message about grieving, where traditionally a movie like this would suggest that you do like find a man that can protect you or can make you feel valuable, whereas this movie is kind of like, fuck that, like, join a cult. So yeah, fuck that, join a cult. So, let's say you're interested in joining my cult. Well, I would highly recommend that you subscribe on YouTube, perhaps give this video a like. That's your initiation to the cult. And then also consider supporting me on Patreon, patreon.com/NickSpheres, where I will be posting more of our sinister activities on the internet. Also, I want to let you know that I have a GoFundMe set up for gender-affirming surgeries. Yay! Because I don't know if y'all noticed, but I'm like a trans. There's
Holy
a car
shit.
to a loud.
I'm a transformer, apparently.
I'm a transformer. Anyway, I'm a transgender person.
Hell yeah, baby.
So I need some money for gender-affirming surgeries because I don't know if y'all heard, but like FFS is like $20,000 to $30,000, and bitch, I don't have that. But in all seriousness, I am trying to get gender-affirming surgeries now. Like, I've been on hormones for over a year and I'm trying to do that. So if you want to help out with that, there's a GoFundMe link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.